This is Anpu with another video on Question Everything. Now this segment is going to be called Do Extraterrestrials Exist? UFOs, USOs, aliens, all that good stuff. All the topics that people want to talk about. This is a real strong topic. This is like the biggest mystery of human existence. And we just all want to know, are we alone? Are there beings outside of our Earth? Are there habitable planets that beings live on? Why is Hollywood doing so many movies on extraterrestrials? We gotta question this. So I said I was going to do a video on this, and here it is. And like I said, I'm gonna go in depth. So this is probably part one. I'm gonna have to do a couple of these because this subject is also very broad and there's so much information, and I don't want to just cram everything in just one video. I want to break it down into segments, so give y'all time to do some research. So when y'all catch me again, y'all be up to par with me. So, do extraterrestrials exist? Okay, so my past videos, I spoke about the whole term of extraterrestrial. The surface of the planet is terrestrial, all right? There's life on the surface of this planet. We have animals, insects, we have us human beings. Interterrestrials are living beings or living things, creatures that live inside of the earth. There is proof that there is life inside of the earth. I mean, if you go into the depths of our ocean, if you really do the science on how deep our ocean is and how much life is within our ocean, it's amazing. So there is life in the planet. You have different caverns of caves that certain species of animals live in. And most of these animals, through evolution, they don't have no eyes. Hearing senses is heightened because there's no sunlight that penetrate down there. You have all sorts of fish, insects, and all types of things that are a lot of this, especially the animals and creatures that are in the bottom of the abyss of the ocean. They're very pale, white. They don't have no melanin, pretty much. So that's interterrestrials. Then you have extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrials is life outside of Earth. Like I explained in the other video, that if an asteroid hit this planet, right? Say if it was a small one, but it had living bacteria on it, that will be considered an extraterrestrial. It is a living thing that's outside of this planet that came into this orbit, into this terrestrial. So it's extra. So let me break down the words first before people get lost. Now I'm gonna go real deep in this. So I'm probably gonna lose a lot of people. They're probably gonna listen to the first couple of seconds of it and click it because it's gonna get too scientific. And a lot of people nowadays, the majority of people in this world, they hate to educate themselves, which it sounds crazy, but it's true. No one wants to educate themselves. They don't want to hear nothing new. They're afraid of information. Stuff they don't understand, they fear. Okay, and the reason why I'm speaking on extraterrestrials on my channel in a segment of Question Everything is because it also ties into my experiences with astral traveling. Yes, leaving your physical body. So this is the reason why I'm doing this. The reason why I'm doing this video. It ties into dreams. It even ties into the segment of are we in hell? So if you haven't watched all my Question Everything, even the religion, I'm going to go deep. I'm going to go real deep, so get your pen and your pad, take notes. If you got to pause the video to pull up another screen and Google it, do you, because it's about to get real. So, first of all, we got to break down the science, and I'm going to give visual on what I'm talking about so you can have a better understanding. So before we even get into the little green men, we got to go into the celestial bodies. You have to think outside the box, okay? We are on this wonderful, beautiful planet which is called Earth, right? And Earth is billions of years old. Scientists have confirmed that this is a really, really old planet, and this planet has been through many transformations. So we gotta break down the celestial body. So we gotta start with the most important body that's in our solar system is the sun. The sun is the most important key when you're dealing with living beings, living anything, life itself. Life starts with the sun. We got to break down the sun. I mean, I could do a video and go deep on how deep the sun is. You know, it's a ball of gas. And there's energy, hydrogen and helium. It burns hydrogen, and then hydrogen creates helium, and that burns, and it gives that constant burning effect. And the sun, like I spoke about it before, the sun is just like us. They are born, they grow, they live, and they die. And they reproduce, because once a sun collapses, it starts to create all the elements that are in the periodic table, which in this solar system, in our solar system, I mean, there's other suns that when they collapse, I'm pretty sure they create other elements that we have no knowledge of. Different types of metals that are foreign to this planet, and there's been documented of metals that came here that enter our surface and is not from this planet. So that will be considered an extraterrestrial, especially if it has some type of bacterial life on it. But we go into the sun. When that sun collapses and it's supernovas mean it explodes. And when it explodes, it lets off stardust. And that's pretty much what we are. We are stardust. We are created from the stars, the suns. The sun is a star is a sun. This is basic science. This is elementary stuff. But I have to kick it this way to really touch on this subject, because when you speak about aliens and extraterrestrials, people, first thing they think of is the images that they've seen on movies. Little green men, that are very highly intelligent. People would say you're a fool. People would think you're dumb. People would say you watch too much TV, Anpu, Ra. You watch too much TV. But that's the whole flip side on how this knowledge works. This is how the elites, or the ones that are really ruling this system here that we are living in, this is how they want you to think. They want you to think that you're the only ones here. So, like I said, we start with the sun, and then you gotta think about the different types of suns that we have out there. There are so many suns. There are different sizes. Some are smaller than the ones that we're dealing with, the one that we have right now. There are some suns or stars that are enormous, that will make our sun look like a pebble or look like the size of a moon. If you compare Saturn and Jupiter to the moon, I mean, you have suns that are that size that would make our sun look that small, like a moon, or even smaller. So there are many types of suns out there. We have to understand. And you have to understand how many suns are in our Milky Way, right? That's very important. there are billions. All right, there are 100 billion stars in our galaxy. Nearly all of them have at least one planet. So if you have billions and billions of stars, right? We have hundreds and billions of stars in our galaxy. All them stars at least has one planet orbiting around it. Some of them have 8 planets, 9 planets. Some might have 20 planets. Some might have 2 planets with moons. It's just so much. So if you think about the size when you're dealing with numbers, when you're dealing with mathematics, when you're dealing with the amount of suns out there. So then now you got times that about billions of planets out there. Because there are more planets than there are suns or stars. So when you do the calculation on that and a ratio on that, it's just mind-blowing. It is very mind-blowing to think that we are alone. That how is that just this planet is the only planet in this whole vast universe and galaxy that has life. To have that thought is very childish. People need to grow up. People need to do their research and snap out of it and wake up, because there's some things that are happening around the world that I'm pretty sure people have witnessed. We ain't gonna get into that just yet. The Milky Way, the galaxy, is 200 million light years apart. 200 million light years apart, right? Our Milky Way. So then when you look at where our planet, our sun, sits in the Milky Way. And the Milky Way is a spiral. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that, right? And I'm going to show you where our sun sits. Our sun sits on the outer skirts of the Milky Way. And it circles. And it takes like 200 million years for it to do one full circle. 200 million years, okay? And in the center of our Milky Way is, they say is like they not even, scientists not even really sure. They think it's like a giant black hole or a giant sun. If you want to call it God, the creator, then I guess so. And then you have our Milky Way, which is billions of stars, billions, trillions of planets, and billions of moons and asteroids, all types of goodies, right? And that's our Milky Way. Now, we have technology that we can see other Milky Ways, other galaxies, right? This is our galaxy. Our galaxy is called the Milky Way. Then you have another galaxy that's near us, which we can confirm. And it's called Andromeda, all right? The Andromeda galaxy. Scientists say that the galaxy will collide with us in a few billion years, right? So now you gotta think about it. You have another galaxy that has billions of stars and billions and trillions of planets. So then you have to ask yourself, do extraterrestrials exist? Do they really exist? Is there really life outside of planet Earth? Think about the numbers. Think about the size. Just be open-minded about this. Get away from the Hollywood stories and the movies and comic books. But just really use your common sense. It's not that hard. Okay? So now, Hubble Telescope. Now we have our galaxy. We have the nearest galaxy next to us is the Andromeda galaxy. Now the Hubble Telescope that NASA had created to see even deeper into space, deeper into the ethers. And it showed many more galaxies, billions of galaxies. Now you gotta think about that. Just think about the numbers. Think about the numbers. Okay? Think about how many stars are out there. So we have our galaxy, Andromeda Galaxy, and then there's billions of other galaxies. And then, when you put all these galaxies together, the scientists call it a supercluster of galaxies. Okay? And now we're all coming together as one big ball of galaxies, billions of galaxies. And this will be the outer skirts of the Big Bang. Okay? To remind you, another scientific fact that our space is always stretching, okay, constantly stretching out, as they say, from the Big Bang. Now, we're gonna go into more. Now we gotta think about different. Let's use common sense now. If this was a Big Bang and it started these galaxies and universes, right? Because then that whole Big Bang with all clusters of galaxies will be considered our universe. Now let's use the laws of nature. Okay, now let's use our laws of nature and our common sense. If it happened here, what makes you think it didn't happen many other times? Maybe if it happened billions of times, many different billions of Big Bangs. And then that's when you get into the multiverse. You see, it just keeps going on and on and on and on. It's like different levels. And it's just like the levels of when you're dealing with dimensions. Because we ain't even touched the dimensions yet. We just dealing with physical reality right now. That's all we dealing with right now is just physical reality. So, and scientists, they had on November 4th, 2013. I'm reading something that's from NASA, right? Astronomers reported, based on Kepler space mission data, that there could be as many as 40 billion Earth-sized planets orbiting the habitable zones of sun-like stars and red dwarf stars within the Milky Way galaxy, right? 40 billion inhabitable planets, Earth-like planets, right? 11 billion of these estimated planets may be orbiting sun-like stars. Because when you have life, just like how we have so much life on planet Earth, you have to be in that zone. You're not too close to the sun to be burnt up, and you're not too far away from the sun to freeze. So it's that life zone. It's that, I forgot the scientific term of it, but there's a zone where the planet orbits where it's just right. But then you gotta think about it that there are different suns out there, like I explained. So different suns have different energies, different heats, different radiation. So this is why when you see Hollywood movies and they showing extraterrestrials, they look different. Their body structures are different. So this could be the reason why. So we gotta think about that. This is something that we have to think about, something that we have to question. Do extraterrestrials exist? Are we alone? Think about it. Let's question that. Now let's go into ancient history. Now, ancient history, when you research ancient history, there are many documentations that speak of beings coming from above. And these are your gods, pretty much. In every religion, every ancient culture, they all speak of the same concept, the same thing, of beings from outside of this planet coming into this planet and showing us things, teaching us things, creating us, the creation stories. All those is ancient stories. They speak about it. So this, what I'm speaking about, is nothing new. And this is what they say. There's nothing new under the sun. That's a good quote from my man Thor. Thor used to always say that to me. If it has been done before, if it's done now, it's been done before. So, when you go into the ancient histories and cultures and teachings, let's go into the Native Indians. Now, the Native Indians, they have their stories of creation, and they speak of beings coming here and they call the star people. You know, you have the ancient native Indian shamans speaking of beings coming from the stars. You know, we could keep going on and on, like about the ancient, the feathered serpent. You know, the feathered serpent. You know, they came from above. This is what these our ancients was talking about. Our ancient ancestors was talking about. They were talking about extraterrestrials. In Africa, you have ancient Egyptian stories. You know, when you research the ancient Egyptian stories, a lot of it speak of beings coming from above, and a lot of it is basically talking about the elements, and they do stories that pertain to what's going on inside of you. But also beings coming from above. You know, Osiris was a god, Asar. You know, and his color was green. He was a green being. So, you know, that's something that we gotta think about. The ancient Sumerians. I spoke about the ancient Sumerians in my past videos, and how the ancient Sumerians and the ancient Egyptians had a big impact on the Bible. Their stories are basically the same, but the ancient Sumerians and ancient Egyptian stories are much older than the Bible and the Quran and the Torah, because they all took from the same people at a pertinent time. And the ancient Sumerian stories speak of beings called the Anunnakis. And I explained before, the Anunnakis just means beings coming from above. And they're on a ship called Neberu. China, they speak of their first emperor. Speaking of, I forgot his name, but they label him as the Yellow Emperor. The Yellow Emperor, and they say that he came from the stars, flying on a dragon. You know, and that's the thing, like when you look at the ancient texts and ancient histories on how they describe things, they didn't know how to describe it, so they used certain things like the winged serpent. You know, the dragon came and blowing fire out his mouth. So it was just how they described it, because they didn't know how to describe it. That's like saying, if I was to bring back a helicopter back in ancient times and fly around, they go and look at that like, wow, that's a weird looking bird, you know. And they landed and they made a loud roaring sound, and that's the same descriptions like the Bible and the Quran speak about. The wheel, the disc, the wheel, and it came out and it had fire. They made a roaring sound, and you know the ground trembled, and it's like a rocket. I mean, the show Ancient Aliens pretty much breaks that down. I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there watch Ancient Aliens. You know, they give a lot of good information. I mean, a lot of it be like whatever, but there's a lot of good information in there as well. And you know, the people that they interview, and they are actually scientists. These are people that actually do this, just like myself. But I'm just small time, you know. Back to the ancients. Speak about the Anunnakis. This book here, Zoroastrian, the 12th planet. Now, the 12th planet is very deep. This is dealing with the Anunnakis and the ancient Sumerians, the texts and everything. It speaks about how, you know, if you look at it, you know, it shows you that the knowledge that they had of the planets, dealing with the celestial bodies, you know, and they spoke about a missing planet, Meldeck. There was a planet called Meldeck, and there was like these reptilian type of beings living on here, and they planet had got destroyed pretty much. I think that's what the astral belt is. And they say there was another planet. So when you look at the ancient Sumerian clay tablets, it shows you that how advanced they was. Now, this is a point in time, you gotta think about this. This is a point in time that they didn't have telescopes, right? They didn't have telescopes. So how did they know that there were planets, and they described them, the colors and everything? How did they have this type of knowledge? This is something that we have to question. The ancient Sumerians, they had showed on one of their clay tablets the sun in the middle and the actual planets, the actual size of the planets, and the places where these planets are. That is amazing. That you have to question. How did these beings at that point in time have this type of technology or information? So the question is, are we alone? Are we alone? Do extraterrestrials exist? So yeah, that's a good book. You got to read that book. It's a lot of good information. And like also I said, go on Google and type in the Holy Tablets by Malachi Z. York, and he goes in deep. He goes in deep with the stories of the Anunnakis. That's what they basically, their whole teachings is based on, is the Anunnakis, the ones that came from above, and the planet Nibiru, or Planet X. And like I said before, you can actually look this up and see that this planet actually exists and it is coming into our orbit. Okay. Yeah, that's another good book. Another good book that my teacher Thorpe had told me. He put me on to the Serious Mystery, Robert Temple. All right, new scientific evidence of alien contact 5,000 years ago. Now, this book is deep. This book is deep. It goes into the ancient Dogon tribe in Mali. Now, those that haven't did their research, that don't know about the Dogon tribe, they speak of beings that came from the star Sirius system, the Orion, where Orion's belt is at. And that's why I explained in Questioned Everything dealing with the Bible, the word heaven, when you research the word heaven and you go into Greek, is Orion. And Orion is a star constellation, it's a star system. So and when you see the three stars, the three main stars, and then it points to another star, which is Sirius. Now, the Dogon tribe had this vast knowledge of this one particular star, Sirius. You had Sirius A, which was the bigger star, but Sirius A wasn't really, it wasn't the real powerful celestial body that they focused on. It was Sirius B that you could not see with the naked eye. It's a dwarf star that's orbiting another star, but this star is so dense and powerful, and they speak of these beings that this is where they come from, and they call them the fish people, the Nomos, and these beings came to Earth and taught human civilization. And the thing is what baffles scientists' minds is that they just recently, not too long ago, realized that Sirius B existed. They heard about the stories by studying the ancients of the Dogon, which is located in Mali in Africa. They was watching a telescope. This is how they discovered it. They was watching a telescope of the Sirius because they wanted to see if these people was knew what they were talking about. Through years of watching this sun, they saw the sun wobbled, and it wasn't that the sun was wobbling, that it was just that it was a smaller sun that was orbiting around it. But this smaller sun is heavier than the bigger sun. It's dense. It's like the energy is so dense and it's so powerful, and it's heavy, very heavy. But the ancients, the Dogon tribe, they had this knowledge. They had this knowledge that was from the stars, extraterrestrials, and the Dogons pretty much got their information from ancient Egyptians, the ancient Kemet, because the people that live in Mali, they're like descendants of the Egyptians, the Kemites. They migrated into the lands, and they took a lot of teachings from ancient Egyptians over to Mali, and they still practice shamans. They still practice it to this day. There's another ancient shaman. He passed away. He was like one of the last ancient shamans, one of the powerful shamans. I can't remember his name. I think his name is Guido something. I'm gonna show a picture of him, and you can go look him up and search him up. He did a good interview with David Icke, and he also was telling the secrets of the Dogon. He wasn't supposed to, but he knew his time was coming, and he had. You gotta watch that. It's a documentary with David Icke, the Dogon shaman, and the shaman Guido. He explains how he was abducted, and he explains what these beings look like. He explained his initiation to the priesthood to be a shaman with the Dogon religion, and he goes in deep. I mean, watch that documentary. It's real deep, and I mean, this book, The Serious Mystery, my master teacher Thoth put me onto that book. He put me onto that book. He told me about it, and I went and ordered it. Like I said, every time he gave me information, I went out and got it and read it for myself. And the information that's in that book is amazing. I mean, I could go in deep with that. They call it the dog star, the pale fox. They even symbolize that small dwarf star, Sirius B, to one of their grains that kept their civilization going by feeding them. And it was the smallest grain, and it's so deep, man. It's such a deep book, and that's why I said you have to be open-minded and do your research, and you see the evidence behind it. And this is just dealing with ancient times. We ain't even get into modern times. I don't want to make this video too long. Oh, another thing, almost forgot about. Speaking of habitable planets, just recently, I mean, you could go on Google, go into certain scientific magazines, websites. You could even go on worldstarhiphop.com and see this video that scientists just found a new planet, and they say that it is habitable for humans to live on. This is another planet. You see what I'm saying? So as time goes on, we're just going to be discovering more planets. The more higher our technology gets, the more we're going to find. It's called Ross 128b. This is what they named the planet. And there's so many other planets out there. Like I said, there's billions of them they found. Yeah. So that's the question. Do your homework. Search up, YouTube, some videos of the Serious Mystery, Dogon tribe. Look up Zachary Stitcher. Like I said before, Google the Holy Tablets, Malachi Z. York. Look up the ancient Egyptian, the ancient Native Indians and their relations to beings outside of planet Earth. Before I even go, I can't forget about the Hindu gods. Now the Hindu gods, you got the Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, right? When you research the Hindus' religion, the Veda Sanskrit. Now this is like the Hindus have the oldest religion documented. And like I said, when you go into Hindu, oh man, like they stories, it's like you watching a movie about extraterrestrials, or reading a script about extraterrestrials, how they had these weapons that shoots lasers and bolts, and the vehicles that they rode on. When you see the paintings, when you see the colors of these beings, they were blue. It's very deep. The Hindu gods, the Hindus gods, they have so many gods. They have like hundreds of gods that they worship. You have the god with the elephant face. You have the monkey god. This is what they tradition and what they believed in. So the Hindu. When you look search up the Hindu gods and you look at them, you see the paintings and the drawings. You know, it's just like, wow, this is showing you the relation of extraterrestrial. And I'm not, like I said, I don't want to make it too long. But I'll definitely be back with a part 2. I'll definitely be back with some more information. So like I said, look up those books if you can. Go on Amazon, order those books, or PDF the file and read it. Great books, great information. There's many other books out there. You know, just study astronomy. You know, study the celestial bodies. Look up and see the amount of suns and stars out there, and you're gonna see more and more coming out, that how we finding new planets and new moons and all this other extra stuff, extraterrestrials outside of this planet. But for the next video, we're gonna go a little deeper. You know, we're gonna go a little deeper. But this is just the beginning stages. This is just the first step of opening your mind. And like I said, when I do these videos, when you watch these videos, and I'm speaking of things that you probably never heard of, it does something to you. It does something. It activates your DNA codes, right? So until we meet again, peace, Hotep 1. This is Anpu with another video on Question Everything.